We can have all the tech in the world, but if we don't focus on the human element, we'll just have a lot of tech and data sitting there and a lot of stressed out people.
In today's episode, I'm excited because we're going to dive into an important pillar of AI that doesn't always get the airtime it deserves. If you think about AI as a pyramid, data and governance sits as the foundation. At the top of AI is the use cases that leverages the technology to derive the benefits. Sitting in the middle is strategy, and within strategy is your organization, culture, and people. Today's guest is an expert in organizational change and transformation. Rosanne Werner, welcome to the pod.
Thank you, Ian. Thanks for having me.
So I mentioned you're an expert in organizational change, but why don't you tell the audience about yourself, what you do, and how you got to where you are?
Okay, so my name's Rosanne Werner. I'm the CEO of XcelerateIQ, and I specialize in organizational change on transforming organizations with this whole data and AI journey. So we can have this data, we can have all the tech in the world, but if we don't focus on the human element, which is what they're supposed to be for, we'll just have a lot of tech and data sitting there and a lot of stressed out people. And this bridges the hole between the human and the tech divide. So we're actually using technology and data to help us make better decisions, help us be more efficient. So I focus on that kind of human element, culture, mindset change for businesses that are implementing data and AI.
Excellent. And then in terms of the human side of AI, why is it so important in the success of AI?
Yeah, so we've got to think about the whole human biology when it comes to change. Like, people don't resist technology. They actually resist on, okay, what's my role in this? They resist feeling incompetent with this role. So when we deal with data and AI transformation, the change actually hits in what the brain basically puts a blocker in. And that's where people end up going back to old habits. That's why people resist the change. They're scared of failure. And the whole point of the human side of AI adoption is that we help them build the confidence and the adoption so that they're actually using it as part of their day-to-day, and that it's not so much of an overwhelm when it comes to changing behavioral patterns. So it's about helping them make decisions on a micro level by using data and AI as part of that piece there. So my background didn't come from tech. I actually came from a finance background. So I was doing finance transformations in oil and gas, mining, pharma. I started off at Deloitte, where I got my chartered accountants. And even then, finance was finance data. At the time, this was before data was really called data. It was like finance data. But the whole finance transformation between it all was that you can have the data, but that doesn't change people's behaviors or the way they make decisions unless you integrate that kind of human element to it. From a tech standpoint point of view, how do you integrate the human element into it? So we're integrating it into our day-to-day lives. So we're actually making better decisions, changing the way we do things with data and technology.
And would you think that maybe some of the resistance or worry about the change and transformation with AI and the impact on the people is the speed? And by that, I mean, finance, for example, has gone through several transformation. There's been outsourcing over several years. There's been digitalization, so the move to the cloud, again, multi-year project. Whereas AI transformation and AI in general is just moving so fast. How do people and organizations keep up with something that's moving that quick?
They start small. Start with the low risk, high value items that people, think about the tasks that people are doing day to day. What is taking the most time? What's taking a lot of mental load, but then not so much value? And focus on the things that, when is done right and automated by AI, or AI can take over, it generates that trust. Trust is real importance with this whole AI transformation, AI adoption, utilization. If there's no trust, if people can't explain what the AI is doing, if there's no confidence in what the AI is doing, they're not going to give the AI bigger tasks to do. So start small, build that confidence so it becomes second nature that you're using AI for the menial tasks, so that you can start then pushing the boundaries on what AI can do on the bigger stuff that, you know, maybe need more context, or something that needs a bit more trial and error before you get the right prompts to get it done. So I'd say start small. Once you start small and you've built the habit, it's not so much of a big overwhelm change as if you're doing one thing one day and something completely different another day.
Makes sense. Now, if we take a step back and look at the 30,000 foot, if you were advising an organization that knew they needed to move forward with AI, they're willing to leverage the technology, buy some tools from a vendor, but they haven't yet started a strategy for embedding it within their organization and rolling it out, what would be some of the first tips or advice you would give to a firm that's looking to start AI?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, what are the key foundations that help a good AI foundation to scale? And we've heard the whole garbage in, garbage out piece. If you've got bad data and you put AI on top of that, you're going to supercharge your bad data with lots of hallucination, lots of risk. So data quality and having the right data foundations and the consistency gives that good foundation for AI to leverage on. But there's the latest, I think the CTO of Deloitte set out a article recently, and they said in our AI budgets, 93% goes on to the tech and only 7% goes on to the people. And so what I would say is, like, we need to shift that as well. So the foundations is not only you've got the data foundation, that you've got the data quality and the awareness of whether there's bias or hallucination in the workforce. It's also that kind of human element of, do we have the right mindset readiness? Are the leaders on board with this organizational change? Do people feel part of the story, or are they being left behind? How are we helping through people through that change? So as you're building your data foundations and then identifying what tools to use, you also have that people element running along the side, so that people are ready to use the tools. They've got the critical thinking capabilities to challenge the tools when there are any hallucinations, or like the outputs just aren't right and needs the tweak in terms of, do we need more diverse data to provide a more fair result, or are there hallucinations that we need to address? So it's not just the tool side of things. It's identifying a what is it that we're trying to solve with AI, and is AI the right tool for the job in itself? Do we have the right data foundations to support that AI tools? And then, do we have the people element? Do we have the mindset? Do we have the behaviors? Do we have that support to build that trust and confidence as this AI tool gets rolled out and more use cases get developed?
And on the people side, then, would that look like ensuring you've got a learning and development program around AI? And as you mentioned, the explainability, transparency, understanding what it can and can't do. Is it also, I've seen in papers, centers of excellence, you have champions, you have use cases that can educate people on how they could use it. What are some of, specifics that help bring people along on that journey?
Yeah. So I say it's a multi-touch approach. You've got people learn in different ways. People are influenced, their behavior influence in different ways, and so just having a learning platform, it's really one dimensional. So you need like a learning platform, something that helps people learn at their own pace, learn with their own preferences. So whether there's something that they can read or they can listen to, or there are communities that they can get involved in. So they've learnt something, but they're able to then discuss it with their peers. There's a thing about social learning being kind of one of the biggest way to push people to learn and develop, because we always have this, we're wired to learn more in a group. That's how we're humans are being wired to learn more as a group. We're more in tune with our emotions. It helps us remember more. So that whole social learning, that community piece helps people go, well, I've learnt this in theory, but actually, how do I put this in practice? And that practice side of things help people remember the theory and the knowledge a lot more, but then able to apply it to your relevant examples and then doing things differently with the data or the AI. And then you get that reinforcement piece as well, kind of that dopamine hit. You go, oh, that was a success story. I got something out of it. I'll do that again. And that's how you do that reinforcement loop. So I think it's a blend of curriculum side of things, blend of the community side of things, but then also a blend of the communications. Are you hearing it from the top? This is what we expect our business to do with data and AI. We expect better informed decisions. We expect efficiencies with using AI in your workflows. We don't need humans to do stuff that AI can do really well. So we want you to focus on the more creative stuff, the more strategic stuff. So it's hearing it from the top that it's also what's expected of them, and then also what's expected from them as a peer. You kind of like have that friendly competition with your peers and getting the best use cases and who's got the best outcome from a prompt, and it's generating those discussions that help people not only learn but reinforce behaviors from it. And you talked about the learning platform. We've seen so many webinars, workshops that go on for hours on end, but that's not actually how people learn. We like these like micro learning moments. It's like integrating it into our day to day. So how do we have little micro moments within the day so people don't feel like they have to carve out 3 hours of their day to do learning? It's like they're actually learning on the go. They're learning, they're activating, they're talking to people. So it becomes part of how they think, how they breathe with data and AI.
A lot of good insights there. Thank you. And you mentioned there it's got to come from the top, and that's obviously critical. So I think driving the strategy, empowering people to feel they have permission to try, celebrating successes. What other aspects from leadership are needed to drive AI and embed it within the organization?
I'd say it's so important to create what we call safe spaces, but then also brave spaces. There's a part in the brain that is kind of like an alarm system that shuts down when you're trying something new, and you need to have these like brave and safe spaces so people are trying new things, but then they're not being punished when it goes wrong. It's like you want them to be brave enough and courageous enough to try new things, and then go, okay, well, what did we learn from that? What was the good? What was the bad? And rewarding that behavior to kind of push the envelope with the innovation side of things. And I think leaders, especially with data, with a certain decision based on X, Y, and Z. But actually, with new data, my decision has changed because of this, and it's being okay to change your decisions based on new data that's come out, and not like be stuck on this is what I thought and this is what I'm standing by. And so it's having that kind of humbleness, I guess, to go, yep, data says differently. We can pivot based on this new data, and it's okay to. And it's the whole psychological safety side of things that leaders have a big role to play. And then role modeling is like asking the right questions of their teams. How did you make that decision based on data? How did you use the AI to come up with this? And really question the team on how they've done it. So it helps them think about, well, why did I do it? Did I do it blindly and just follow the AI? It's like, why did I do it? Just kind of build that critical thinking by asking the right questions and challenging their teams.
And I love that critical thinking because we do start to see a little bit of an over reliance on AI where people put in a question and take the answer as gospel almost and forget that it can hallucinate or they don't look to verify. And that's becoming a bigger issue, I think, especially with the younger generation who have grown up with it and maybe haven't developed their own critical thinking skills as much as, older generations. So how do people avoid that critical thinking gap or lapse there and bridge that with the leverage of AI?
Yeah. I'll answer this in a different sense, because what I'm seeing is organizations pushing their workforce to build AI capabilities. And so people are like, okay, well, I need to use Copilot, I need to use ChatGPT, I need to use whatever the organization's tool is. But they're not being given the ways to build their cognitive capabilities. So they're like, oh, I'm asking it questions, write me an email, write me a report, can you craft this? And we do that very often. We end up creating bad habits that we instantly offload our thinking to AI because we think we're using AI, but actually, instead of thinking ourselves and getting AI to critique or build a different case and help us think about our proposals or our content a lot more, we tend to outsource that first bit of thinking. And then the more we do that, the less that our brains are building those engrams to actually think deeply. And so there's that piece of, okay, are we pushing people to build AI capabilities to the point that they're actually building really bad AI habits on outsourcing their thinking? Or should we just go pull it back a bit and go, okay, what is it that we want to achieve? What's the thinking that we need to do? So maybe something like, okay, we pull a proposal together and then the AI, get the AI to critique it, or have I got any blind spots? Am I missing a population here? Am I biased in a certain sense? Do I have a risk factor here that I haven't addressed? And get it to critique you. One of the things I did with my website, I took a snapshot of it, sent it to ChatGPT, and go, I just roast it, just roast it for me, and just give me a different perspective on it, and it just helps us build those cognitive capabilities. So we're actually still doing the thinking, but we're getting AI to enhance our thinking because of blind spots that we might inherently have. When we're building AI capabilities, I'll go, don't just outsource your thinking first. How would you reframe your prompt or your questions so you're still doing the thinking in itself? And then there's the other side of having like critical thinking and the ethical judgment is understanding, what is the model saying? What are the implications? What are the risks? Is it fair? Do we know if there's like a reputational impact to it? It's asking for a question. And I've have had this recently where you kind of get the different models to challenge each other as well. So one model might have a certain sway, and then you feed it to another model and goes, well, what is this model missing? So you get different views on the different models as well. You can actually get AI to help you with some of the critical thinking as well, but then it's like you need to make sure that you're the one that's doing the decision at the end of the day.
And to put that in context, in the funds industry, we've seen examples where people produce a board report, and then, as you said, you give the AI a persona, say, you're a director. What would be 10 questions that I'm expected to be challenged on? And so it gets you thinking about those in advance. And you see that also in multi-agent orchestrations where you have challenger agents, etc. I like that where, yes, people have outsourced almost the creation of it, but ultimately you've got to review it. But then you also want to flip it around and critique it, like you said. I think that's the key, critique.
Exactly. And also when you're critiquing it, it's good to reflect on what is it that the model was missing and feed it back into the model. So then you go, well, we missed this, and this. How can we address this next time? And so then you're not having to start from ground zero again the next time you do a prompt. So it's got that reinforcement loop about, okay, these are the feedback. This is what we could do differently. How do you feed that back into the prompt? So it starts from not ground zero, but 5 or 10 from when you last left off.
And that's especially easier these days as well, with the models having more memory and effectively more context on what you've previously asked and how you like certain output as well. Isn't that right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you get better at prompting as well.
Yeah. If you're enjoying the Fund AI pod, the best way to support the show is simple. Hit subscribe. It really helps a new channel like this grow, and it allows us to attract even more interesting guests from across the funds industry. Head to www.thefundaipod.com to catch past episodes, nominate future guests, or explore ways that we can work together, whether that's consulting, sponsorship, speaking, or collaboration. Now back to the episode. So going back to the people side, one of the fears of people, especially in finance and knowledge management industries is AI may replace my job. And hence there's a bit of resistance to it. So what would be your advice, or how would you position AI as an enabler of people's careers rather than them being scared of it?
Yeah. I always go, look, AI is here as a tool. It is here, like calculators, spreadsheets. It is a tool to help you do your job. And a lot of people are finding ways that AI can take a lot of the mundane, repetitive work, the stuff that's taken a lot of time and cognitive load, and then freeing up the time for more the creative and the strategic thinking side of things. The bits where we need more the human context, because AI doesn't have that context on applying the human context of business problems and then how to resolve those problems in a creative manner. So I would say, look at your workflows, look at the tasks that, what we're saying before, low risk, but then brings high value into the trust and then the adoption piece. Identify those tasks that you can offload to AI, but you can check really quickly whether they've done it right or wrong. So you're building that confidence. And then what are the bits where the handoffs between AI and the humans? What is the handoff that AI can't do, can't read the room? It maybe struggle with like nuances and really deep like industry context. So this is where, what can AI do majority of the groundwork, but then you need the human element of it to help creatively apply the AI output to the problem that you're solving. So it's understanding there's a lot of human skills that AI can't replicate at the moment, and things like how does the AI understand between like two ethical moral matters? Sometimes us humans struggle with that as well. So it's understanding the context of certain problems that the human need to decide on the decisions, whereas AI can do a lot of the groundwork or a lot of the information sifting and get us to a certain point quicker, so we can then make the decisions based on the human intuition and experience. So it's really understanding, what part of the job is repetitive, mundane. Give that to AI so you can focus on the stuff that AI can't replace, because there's still lots of it, and not at the moment getting the downtime to be able to do that.
And that's the key, right? Is AI frees up the capacity then to focus on the creative side, as you said, and that brings greater job satisfaction to the staff. And then just touching on that, if you were to have rolled out AI in your firm, you're seeing some ROI from a purely, this is the revenue, this is the expense we outlaid for it, we're getting some ROI. If you're looking at a success from a culture and people perspective, how would you go about measuring that? And some thoughts is, obviously you've got some usage, maybe some surveys around job satisfaction, but how would you measure from a people perspective?
It's like we often see that so many of the transformation projects, we're measuring success by whether the technology was installed, whether the project went live, what are the milestones that we've met, was the budget met. But a lot of that doesn't measure, how have the way people changed their thinking, have they changed the way they're operating, have they changed the way that they're making decisions differently. So it's more understanding how the technology was adopted, but then has it sustained itself. So the things in terms of measuring is, like, one, the language shift. Are people asking different questions? And are they asking things like, oh, what is the data telling us? Has this been validated? What are the assumptions that we're challenging? And it's more data related or AI, like technology related questions, which you can tell then that they've integrated the data and AI into their workflows and they're asking more value adding questions. So it's basically the language shift enables to understand whether they're like incorporating the data AI into how decisions are being made. And then it's the whole engagement side of things. is very important as well. It's like, are people more confident in what they're doing? Do they feel like they have got the tools to do their job? Do they feel like they've got the support to do their jobs properly? Do they trust the outputs of the AI decisions, the AI tools to make decisions? Are they challenging the outputs? So they're building those critical thinking skills. So you often tend to have like like companies have a lot of engagement scores. It's like, say, okay, how do people feel about their jobs? And if the data and AI are helping people make decisions faster, they're getting better results, they're getting better rewards because of the results, then engagement should go up as well because they're doing more rewarding work. They're being rewarded for the more value stuff that they're doing. And so you've got that engagement uplift there as well, where people's mindset, behaviors, engagements are being are rising. But then you also have like those kind of like success story moments in your workflows. So are people seeing an uplift in terms of using data in their day to day without needing a reminder? Are the reconciliations and stuff like that being performed quicker and more accurate? So these lead to more efficient output, then obviously, lead to more the financial ROI side of things. It's all that these like little day-to-day indicators that allow people to go, okay, are people talking differently? Are they behaving differently? Are they more confident? And are they actually being more engaged because they're doing work that is more valuable, more rewarding?
Brilliant. And then we earlier mentioned about micro learning, receiving information in short bites. One of the things that's interesting about AI is there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of podcasts, YouTube, LinkedIn is a lot of AI posts these days. Leads a little bit to AI fatigue and a lot of information to absorb. So, how do you balance the level of information on AI out there with consuming it and actually retaining that information?
One thing I was challenge people to do is get AI to do a mini personality test on you to find out what actually makes you tick, how you learn, how you learn best. Some people might learn best by reading. Some people might learn best by going for a run and listening to a podcast. Some people might go, well, just give me a hackathon and I want to get my hands deep into it. Have a bit of like a brainstorming session with AI to get them to kind of give you a persona of what your learning preferences are. And then find it's like don't try and use all 5, 10, thousands of tools out there. Find the ones that will give you result like upfront. So it's like, how do you test 2 or 3 tools that'll give you the output of what you do on a day-to-day basis. So you're not diluting your efforts across too many tools, and then you're not actually getting any benefits in terms of time saving or any efficiencies, that kind of thing. Focus on 2 or 3 tools. What is it that you're trying to achieve? What is the efficiency you're trying to achieve here? Go for that. Keep going for that. Get the efficiency, and then push that a bit further, because otherwise, people talk about AI fatigue. We've got another tool. We're going to, there's that whole change fatigue of when people are investing time in tools. We don't talk about that often enough, and when you build the habits to really understand a tool really well, you eventually end up getting the value back, and then it becomes like a habit. So it doesn't take effort to learn that tool. Get to that point and then maybe explore another tool. So you're not overwhelming yourself with too many tools, but you're building these habits that help you absorb other tools in an easier manner.
Focusing on the asset management space, what are the biggest barriers you find in hindering AI adoption in regulated industries such as this?
Yeah. I say 2 key things here is trust and translation. So in a very high regulated environments, I mean, I used to work in pharma, and that's very highly regulated as well, and in risk and compliance as well. There's always there's a fear of doing the wrong thing. Coming back to that kind of human biology part of the brain where it shuts down when it doesn't feel good. So it's a fear of doing the wrong thing, and then you're punishing. The brain punishes itself on it. So this can really like stifle innovation because people prefer to stay with what they know. That's how our brains are being wired, and it's the fear of doing the wrong thing, fear of failure. So this carries quite a weight about, having to get it right the first time when we're testing with AI. And we all know the first prompt never gets you the right result. So having that environment to go, okay, it's a sandbox. We are testing this, and you're not going to get punished. But all we're trying to do is trying to identify use cases. We're trying to help people understand how to use the tool a lot better, and it's building that trust to understand how the tech works, so that it reduces that fear of doing the wrong thing. We're testing, so we know what is the right thing to ask of the machine to get a certain result. So when it comes to like a highly regulated environment, so that AI might seem like a black box where you put certain words in, you get certain words out. So it's being able to explain the outcome and identify, okay, well, we gave the AI this data, this is how it's translated it, and then this is the output. It's building that trust on that transparency, but then that also requires people to quickly ask the right questions to test that. So having these like controlled environments where the teams can trial the capabilities, validate the outcomes, and then build that confidence without that risk exposure allows people to build that confidence without that kind of fear of doing the wrong thing. But there's also that piece of the communication between like technical teams and business teams. It's understanding the technical teams. Okay, why are you building the tools? What is the business problem you're trying to solve? And then getting the business teams in from day one so that they're shaping it with their expertise of the pain points that they're dealing with it every day. They can see how the system is being built up to help them solve a problem. It helps them get the buy-in at the same time. So it's being able to have the right environment, so you're testing it, but then also getting the people involved from the start, so that they're bought into that kind of trust and translation of what the AI system is doing.
And let's say the business has built a solution that does a lot of the groundwork for them. There's always talk of human in the loop. And especially in the funds industry, there's been outsourcing to lower cost locations. But just because you outsource, you can't outsource responsibility. You still have to have oversight and governance of what you've outsourced. I envision, or I see AI as similar. You're outsourcing some of the work, but you can't remove responsibility. So how should you design AI or think about AI to ensure that you've got the right governance, oversight of the work that you've outsourced to them?
Yeah. One of the things is you have a redesigned workflow where AI and humans are interlooping. But the transparency is understanding what part of the workflow is done by AI, and as simple as having kind of that audit trail. So this decision was made by AI, this output came from AI, and this is where the handoff to the human is. You've got the audit trail of understanding what is AI, what is human, the accountability side of things. When something goes wrong, you can go, okay, well, actually, something from the AI went wrong. We need to fix something in the AI, or the process between the AI and the humans went wrong. We had to fix that. It just breaks that accountability down so that you don't have this whole AI a workflow output and then no one's taking responsibility. It's really, really important when you're doing a workflow that you've got the human plus AI like audit trail, so we know where it went wrong if you have to trace it back. But then also the human in the loop side of things is AI is only as good as the data we feed it and the algorithms that it's based on. Human in the loop is really important with the whole breaking down the the model rationale of it, or is any data set missing in here? The customer data, are we missing any key customer data that's not representing someone? Whose voice is missing from this data? So it's understanding what the data or the AI is missing that allows that kind of human in the loop. And that's where the diversity in the human in the loop allows us to have better performing data and AI, because we're asking those questions of what's missing in there. I think with the whole human in the loop is understanding what AI can do, but then what is the thinking outside of the box and goes, what does AI, what's the information AI doesn't have and it should have? And this is where the context, the nuances, market intuition, things like that comes into play.
So before we wrap up, if you think about people, culture, and change, what is one mindset or behavior that they should change when approaching AI if they want to succeed and progress in their career?
It's really building that continuous learning habit. Things are constantly changing so quickly. It's building that continuous learning on a daily basis, so you're not lumping a big change in one day of the week. It's that continuously learning, being curious, understanding and really developing your soft skills, the skills that AI struggle to replicate. It's really building that soft skills of storytelling, being able to influence, motivate others, being able to translate between tech and humans. That's something that, that can really set you apart. But then also it's being adaptable when new technology comes or new iterations come in. Okay, well, how do I adapt to this? How do I learn from this? How do I integrate this into my workflow? So we talked about the technical skill side of things, but it's the human skill side of things that AI can't replicate. So it's like, how do you focus on building a lot more of the curiosity thinking, creativity thinking, the critical thinking, the ethical bit that AI struggles with? How can you build more of being a specialist in that? It's all about the people. You've got technical skills, but it's the people side of things that brings the value from the investment in the data and the technology.
I couldn't agree more, especially with the technical side, the speed at which AI moves. If you stop reading 6 months ago, that'll be outdated. So you've got to constantly learn. But AI, as you mentioned, is just a tool. There's other pieces around it, the strategy, the people, the ethics that also needs to go with it as well. And I guess that brings me to a question for you personally. How do you stay current on AI with the need to do continuous learning?
Yes, I like to go to conferences, to hear about what other people are doing in the space, but then building the network. It's all the behind the scenes stories that you don't see on stage as well. And then it's like that kind of social element of the communities. It's like, okay, well, what are communities that have been helping, say, I've been going to like AI and women community, how are we helping other women on this whole AI adoption piece? There's certain other communities where, how do we help certain communities on making the first step with AI? But then you've got these other communities that are very technical and maybe like they're going, well, we need to help upskill on our people skills so we can bring the rest of the teams on board when we're building these tools. So conferences, reading, like so many articles and white papers are coming out where the different types of models and what they're doing, but then also the kind of human element of it. So how do we help people integrate it into their teams? Really, really balance the two between the tech change and then the people change as well.
Just wrapping up then, could you tell the audience a little bit more about Accelerate IQ, what you do for your clients, and then is there any websites or LinkedIn that people can go to learn more about your firm?
Yes. So I help companies build data and AI capabilities program. So it's things like, how do we build a learning strategy that helps with that kind of multi-touch approach? So how do we help people create more learning moments in their day-to-day? And then it also covers things like communities, how we build communities within the organization. So people are beating the drum about the data and AI change, success stories, and then it also covers like the talent manager side as well. It's like how are we rewarding people and reinforcing that behavior. So the learning doesn't just happen and then nothing changes into change behaviors and learnings. So I help companies produce programs like that, but then also hold AI workshops and data storytelling workshops for people that want a refresher on AI or how not to outsource their thinking with AI. So I do workshops for companies as well. And you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I post daily on habits and tips about data and AI, mindset and culture. So these are small snippets where you can be a real data and AI change maker in your space. And my mission is to build a global movement of these data and AI change makers. So people across industries, functions, backgrounds to be real confident in data and AI and helping the teams use, shape, and challenge data and AI for the better. So thanks so much for having me.
I love your mission, and thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, Ian.
If your fund or firm still runs critical processes on Excel, you're not alone. But the opportunity isn't just AI. It's unlocking the Microsoft tools you already pay for, like Power BI and Power Automate, to eliminate manual work and reduce key man risk. At 𝐲𝐶, we know funds, we know Microsoft, we know AI, and we move fast. Book a 1-hour sprint audit at 𝐲𝐶.io, and we'll identify 3 quick AI or automation wins to build immediate momentum for your firm.